Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with number 8 in the series Quick Chess Victories. In this episode we're going to look what can go wrong in the Alekhine defense for both white and black. As usual in this series we're looking at 3 short games for your entertainment and also for your instruction if you do play e4 with white or the Alekhine defense with black. Our main game is Dobrolovsky against Alekhine from Privitsa in 1978. White opened e4, knight f6 is the Alekhine defense, e5 is the main move, then the knight goes to d5, c4 kicking the knight again, knight b6, and here d4 is the main move according to the database, but also c5 is possible, which is the second most favorite option. Then the knight goes to d5, bishop c4, white keeps harassing the black knight, e6 to defend it, knight c3, and now knight f4 was played in this game, which is a cunning trap, as FIDE master Graham Burgess describes it in his book. It is attacking the g2 pawn, and we're going to look in a minute what happens in that game. But first let's look at what happens after knight c3 and then taking on c3, which is the main line according to theory. Now white has 2 ways to recapture the knight. Let's first look at b takes c3, which was played in a game Schneider against Hanke in Landau 1958. And we saw that things very quickly went wrong for black there. Black played queen h4, attacking the bishop on c4, queen e2 defends the bishop, bishop takes c5, taking that pawn, then white played d4, and now you really should play something like bishop b6, but black in this position made a huge blunder. He played the bishop back to e7. And if you want to look for the refutation, put the video on pause. How can white win the game on the spot? He makes one move and black resigns. Yes, it is g2, g3, and the queen on h4 has no squares. The black queen is checkmated, is trapped, and black resigned here. That's how quickly things can go wrong if you're not careful. That bishop e7 is just taking that retreating option away for the black queen. So let's go back. We had knight c3 and we just took back with the b pawn, and we saw an example of that. You can also take back with the d pawn, which was played in Trebojevic against Kreshnak in Zagreb 1998. In that game, things also went downhill very quickly for black. He took on c5, queen g4, hitting the g7 pawn, and g6 is perfectly fine, but in this game black decided to go back with the bishop to defend the g7 pawn. White played bishop g5, hitting the queen, and here black can play bishop e7, interposing the bishop, or h5, counter-attacking the white queen. Those are both playable, but after bishop g5, black blundered. He played f6, double question mark. And again, if you want to look for yourself, why is this such a big blunder? How does white win here? Put the video on pause and have a look. It's nice to find a solution yourself. It's not very difficult. It's all pretty forced. White took on f6. G takes f6, and now the crucial move, queen h5 check. Black only has one legal response, which is king e7, and now bishop takes f6 check, wins the game on the spot for white. Very nice move. Here black resigned. If you take, and there's really no other option, then there is queen h4 check, and this skewer wins the black queen. King f7, queen takes d8, and white is just a queen up for a piece. So that also went downhill very quickly for black. Back to our main game, Dobrolovsky against Alekhine. After knight c3, as mentioned, black did not take on c3, but played knight f4, the cunning trap, attacking the g2 pawn. Here the best option for white, as FIDE master Burgess writes, is d4. Giving up on that pawn on g2. It's check, so king f1, attacking the knight, knight h4, then knight f3 and knight f5 with some compensation for the pawn for white, writes Burgess. But in the game, after the move knight f4, white made a mistake. He played queen g4, and that's not a good move. And why not? It is because the very nice move, we saw it already in an earlier game we looked at in this video, queen h4. So when you play the Alekhine defense, keep an eye out for that move. It often is an option for black. In this case, it's a very good move. Can you not just take the queen? Yes, you can. But knight takes g2 check is a family fork, winning the queen back. King f1, knight takes h4, and black is better. So after queen h4, white did not take on h4. He played h3, defending his own queen, which was attacked by black's queen. Knight takes g2 check. Can be played here as well, because if you take that knight, then the bishop on c4 is hanging. And black will win a second pawn on c5. This is very good for black. So after knight takes g2 check, Dobrolowski did not take on g2, he played king f1. h5 from black, attacking the white queen. Queen went back to e2. Knight f4, hitting the queen again. Queen e4, and a nice move, knight g6. Protecting the queen and attacking the e5 pawn. If you take on h4, knight takes. Black is just a healthy pawn up after 12 moves. In the game, the queen went back to e2. And now we see already the last move of the game. Knight takes e5 and black resigned here. Black has won a second pawn. If white takes the knight, black will take the bishop and is 2 pawns up. Dobrolowski must have been so disgusted with how this opening went for him that he could not muster the fighting spirit to play on. He resigned and learned a very good lesson against the Alekhine defense. So we had a look at 3 car crashes in the Alekhine defense. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you play e4 or the Alekhine defense with black, I hope these tricks will come in handy. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you like this video, please share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.